Is it ready?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. 3, 2, and 1. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me for another episode of the Handle That podcast on my main YouTube page, which you should subscribe to at Abdul Aesthetics. I got the hat and everything going on. I usually say today is a very special day. I'm gonna say that on this channel as well because today is definitely a very special day. As you can see, I got my good friend John here, John Murray of Appalachian Springs. And today we're going to cover a multitude of things. We're going to kind of go outside of the box because usually the podcast episodes I talk about self-improvement, life improvement, popular topics. Rarely do I talk about on any social media, on any platform, rarely do I talk about, business management, cryptocurrency, ownership, stuff like that. So I've known this guy for how long? Have I known you?
Oh, I don't know. Like 7 years.
Something like that. About 7 years.
Yes.
I used to work for him, right? A place called Appalachian Springs in Charleston, South Carolina. Some of the best water you will ever, let me tell you something.
Some of the best.
Okay, that too. It's been remodeled twice since I've, worked here. This water is the tastiest shit that I've ever had in my life. And I am a sucker for Evian water. I put this right up there with Evian water. Trust me, and I'm not just saying that because he's right there. Trust me, he didn't pay me to say that. He can pay me to say that, but he didn't pay me to say that. You see what I'm saying? What I have here is some Black Velvet blended Canadian whiskey. We are gonna go ahead and sip on this while we get all of this stuff underway. So while I'm doing this, John, go ahead and tell people about yourself.
Yeah. Well, like Jabbar was saying, I'm in business here in North Charleston. We service the whole Tri-County area. But honestly, that really has nothing to do with why we are here today. Although I appreciate the plug.
Of course.
Thank you. For more information, definitely go to our website, appsprings.com, APP Springs. Thank you, sir.
Link will be in the description.
Yeah. But again, really, I think that this goes right along with what Jabbar has been putting out as far as self-improvement. I think finances go hand in hand with self-improvement.
Yeah.
I absolutely do. Both improving your position personally in life, financially that is, or whether it be finances of living a healthy lifestyle. It costs money to live a healthy lifestyle.
Healthy lifestyle, the finances definitely go hand in hand.
It definitely does. So that being said, I believe crypto was the main.
Yes.
The main thing you wanted to discuss.
Yes.
Any particular question, or you just want me to kind of tell you my journey? Or?
Well, yes, definitely hold on to that. Because one thing is my old man, or my dad, for people who don't know what old man means, he got into cryptocurrency. Jesus, what is this? This is 2022. He got into cryptocurrency back in 2020, I believe, like when everything just went to shit, right? Him, a few other people that I know got into it, and they were like, yeah, man, there's this thing called cryptocurrency, and then they had like the Dogecoin, and what was the first? Bitcoin. Bitcoin. And I was, one of my faults, or I guess one of my drawbacks is that I never really was the type of cat to be the first one to do anything, ever. It's just like most things I'm good at, but I'm never really the first one to jump on it. And usually by the time I think, oh yeah, let me try this out, let me do this, at that point, majority of people have already done it. So, and I feel like I'm behind, but that comes with its own pros and cons. The pro is, a lot of people have done it, so there's a blueprint. You know what I'm saying? So it's easy to follow. Just like making YouTube videos. How many people vlog? How many fitness channels do you know? How many podcast channels do you know? The blueprint is already there. One of the cons is you got to do certain things to stand out, right? And I feel like that's the same thing with cryptocurrency. It's like Like the fact that, you know, cryptocurrency, NFTs, a lot of celebrities are into it now, and they can funnel hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars that they, you know, have, and that sets them apart from everybody else. Because like most people don't have $100,000 just sitting around, and the more money you have, the more access you have to more knowledge. So that's why I feel, you know, a lot of people would like to get into cryptocurrency. You have, you know, a much more extensive type knowledge on it than I do, because all I know is just Bitcoin and Dogecoin.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna hit on something that you just said, which is starting. You know, most people don't have that kind of starting capital, that kind of money to start with. And that's true. You got to start somewhere, but at the same time, my old man told me
There you go.
that the quickest way to make money is to already have money. And it's the absolute truth.
Okay.
Anybody who says otherwise is lying, because it's the truth. You know, some dude start with $10 who is going to start investing. Has got a big uphill battle compared to somebody who's starting with $10,000.
Right.
Without a doubt. So, you know, that being said, I mentioned to you earlier that I was going to bring up real estate and all that, because it ties into my journey into crypto, because I really think real estate and crypto go hand in hand, but I think that might be too long of a conversation.
No,
it might be another podcast. I don't know.
We could do that. And just to jump in right there, because you know, you said the quickest way to, you know, to make money is to have money already. Funny story, real quick backstory. I also got to tell you about the backstory of this hat, but real quick. In my senior year in high school, right? For those of you that OG followers of the Abdul Aesthetics channel, and you came over here, much love to you, by the way. Make sure to follow the podcast. I keep forgetting to say this in the beginning. Make sure to follow the podcast on Instagram at the handle that podcast. For those of you that know, OG subscribers and whatnot, you know I talked about my surgery. So in 12th grade, I had surgery on both my legs. I told you about this long ago. And, you know, I had this like weird little apparatus thing sticking out of my legs, you know, got it healed. They had to break the other one. And when they did the surgery on the other one, for some strange reason, I just had this weird idea. I was like, I want to make money. You know, I can't work, but I want to make money. So what I did, this is the craziest shit in the world. People who know me can vouch for it. I think I had 10 cents, right? Just a dime. I dug in my pocket and I had a dime. At the corner store right at the bus stop, I took that dime. True story now. I took that dime and I bought 2 pieces of bubblegum for 5 cents a piece. I jokingly sold those 2 pieces of bubblegum for 10 cents a piece. I repeated that process like 5 times until I had a full dollar. I got in good with the person that worked at the corner store, so some of the stuff that was maybe on its way out, but you know, kids don't give a fuck. They're gonna eat it up right then and there. So I bought some bubblegum. I bought a bunch of bubblegum, a bunch of lollipops, and a soda for like $1 and $2 or something like that. I sold all of that stuff while I was in school. Now, you're not supposed to do this while you're in school, because I don't know, is that against the law?
I can't imagine, but I mean, I sold blow pops.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's one of the things I sold.
25 cents and I'd sell them for $1.
See? Now, that's a business mindset. Now, fast forward like 2 or 3 months later, I literally was putting all of this money inside like an old protein container, protein powder jug. I looked, I got like $500, and I'm like, I didn't really think it was gonna get to this level, but you know, I built a lot of good relationships with people at the school. We had things like the school store. You know, they would let me get some of the sodas and stuff. They, you know, because the school store, they weren't really making any real money. They were just giving that shit away anyway. But most kids didn't know that. But because I was such a, you know, golden apple or whatever the hell you call it, they would give me like a heads up on stuff. I would get it from them and sell it. So now I'm making profit on something I didn't even buy. And then fast forward, I had almost $1,000 12th grade year. And I used the majority of that money to buy my first car like I put that towards my first car when I got out of high school, which still took like 2 years after that. Yeah. So yeah, I know that was kind of a little bit longer than a quick story, but yeah, that makes perfect sense what you're talking about.
No, that's good. I mean, how old were you when you did your surgery?
I was 18.
Oh, I thought you were younger.
I had my
12th grade. I thought you said 12 years old.
Did I say 12 years old?
That's what I thought.
I think I said 12th grade. It was 12th grade.
I was gonna say that was something we would have in common because when I was in 11th grade, I had hip surgery. Mm-hmm. But when I was 12 years old, I broke my back.
Damn.
I had to wear a back brace.
You told me about that.
Grade. Yeah, it was pretty humiliating.
Yeah.
It was awful. Kids are ruthless.
Yes, they are.
But hey, it kind of made me who I am, partially. You know, so
you gotta look at stuff like that. You gotta look at stuff like that as a, you know, you gotta use, like my old man, like see me and my old man are Dolphins fans, so we don't necessarily
you used to taking a beating.
Tell me why I shouldn't throw this drink in your face right now. No, seriously. So we're Dolphins fans, and we don't necessarily like Tom Brady. But one thing my old man says about Tom Brady, he says that, you know, I'm not gonna call him a GOAT, but he is the greatest at taking advantage of every opportunity that comes his way. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So that's kind of how I look at the bad things I go through. Mm-hmm. And you know, I've been through some shit.
Yeah, I've seen you go through some stuff. It's admirable.
Yeah, and I just took it on the chin. You know, I have my moments, but you know, I took it on the chin and I bounced back. But that's neither here nor there.
But like you were saying, you got to have that somehow. Get that little bit of money built up, and usually, just like how you were able to build up that bit in that protein powder, you know, canister or whatever. Mm-hmm. That's, to me personally, that's the key. Is build it up a way that you can forget about it.
Yeah.
That's the best way. Or as a grown up, you could do it in a way that is out of your reach. Mm-hmm. You know, for me, that was real estate. And when I say real estate, I mean home ownership.
Right.
That was the best thing. I mean, anyway, like I said, maybe another podcast, but my crypto journey started in 2020, maybe 2019 is when I started looking at it. Mm-hmm. But I bought in 2020, and like I said, it had nothing to do with my station here. It had nothing to do with my income. Mm-hmm. It was all pulled out of, it was equity that I pulled out of my house. Mm. And so, you know, for people who don't know, you buy a house, it increases in value. That's your money. You can get that money out through a loan. You just refinance your house. And so you can pull that money out and that is yours and you can do what you want with it. Now, if you're dumb, then you do something like you buy a car.
Yeah.
Or a motorcycle or whatever. Although these days cars have been appreciating like never before. You know, it's a weird world we're living in, but that's how I got my starting capital for it. And you know, a good question is, well, why should I be interested in crypto at all? And you know, one thing I heard your old man say, well, it's the future. Mm-hmm. I totally believe that, but to simplify more, if you were to ask me, why should I get into crypto? I would say, well, it's because last year on crypto alone, I made Lambo money.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
And there's no reason that anybody else can do it. And again, it had nothing to do with my income. None of that. It had to do because, it had to do with me taking a risk and saying, you know what? I mean, it all started with me starting to study on my own economics, specifically macro, and I just sat down with my wife and I was like, look, you know, we're making decent money here, but you know, it's not about what you make, it's about what you spend.
There you go.
And we had a growing family, and I said, we're not going to be spending less.
Right.
We're just not. Our kids are getting older, they're getting more expensive.
Yeah.
So I need to find a way to increase what we bring in. And so that's when I started really studying what I can do, studying, you know, stocks, crypto. I looked at like gold and silver and all that.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's how I really got into it. It all started with this video series that I recommend anybody else checking out, Hidden Secrets of Money. And it's episodes like 1 through 9 or something like that. This is like 10 years old.
And that's on YouTube?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's from this channel, Gold Silver with Mike Maloney. It's this old white guy talking about the history of money and the rise and fall of empires and the role that money plays. And he does a great job because this guy has a learning disability and he boils it down. First of all, he's got a learning disability and he like has authored books and stuff. He's self-taught. And I'm like, man, if he can do it, why can't I?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, just like with the real estate thing, I bought my first rental property because this retired lady, Sandra, Pastor Evan's wife, my neighbor down the street, she buys houses and fixes them up and flips them. I'm like, and she's retired. If she can do that, why can't I? You know, why can't? Anyway.
So you and her had conversations about
about real estate and all that. But that's besides the point. The crypto thing, I pulled all this equity out. It was $100,000 out of my house, and that is not money that I created.
Yeah.
It's just a rising market. You know. Money flooding into assets, and after much studying, and just investigating different opportunities, I bought first and foremost Bitcoin. I bought it at $9,500 a coin. A whole bunch of Ethereum. I bought that at like $225 per ETH. A bunch of Cardano, which is fantastic. Cardano is great. I mean, even if you're not looking at it from an investment standpoint, what ADA, the symbol for Cardano, ADA, what they're doing for the world is phenomenal. I mean, from a humanitarian standpoint, they're bringing Wi-Fi and cell service to uncharted parts of Africa.
So it's very
amazing.
Right. So it's a very important, like, or they made themselves like, what's the word I'm looking for? They made themselves, you know, very useful in a lot of ways that most people wouldn't think about. You know what I'm saying? So that okay. So let's stay right here before we go any further. Let's stay right here. Cryptocurrency, Cardano, you know, ETH, Ethereum. Isn't Ethereum like $2,500 per ETH now?
Yeah, something like that. I mean, I know when I sold a bunch last year, it was like, don't quote me, like 38 or something like that.
3,800?
Yeah, something like that.
So you spent $250 on each. You spent $250 on each Ethereum, on each ETH. And now each of those is worth almost $4,000.
Was when I sold it. It's gone down. I mean, the crypto market is so volatile.
Right.
It's not easy to buy, and I didn't buy $100,000 worth of crypto. I didn't. No, I bought a bunch of like Tesla stock. I bought a rental property.
Yes.
Because you just got to have the down payment to buy a rental property.
Really?
You know, it's not like yeah. So, my initial investment was about $30,000 into crypto. So, but even if somebody doesn't have 30, even if they have 300, if you can 10x your investment, I mean, who couldn't use, you know, whatever, an extra
10 times the money you put in to get something.
An extra $3,000, or say you start with $3,000, who couldn't use an extra 30 grand?
I know I could.
I could use an extra 30 grand.
Use an extra 30 grand.
I could put that to good use.
I would quit my job.
You know, and so, you know, anyway, I'm just saying.
No, what did you gonna say?
No, I'm just saying I ended up, I cashed out a majority just from looking at different news sources and having ridden the wave, because I saw it go up. At one time, my portfolio was knocking on like 400,000. Yes.
Jesus.
But then I saw it tank to 100 something.
No.
And then back up to just shy of like 300.
So it ebbs and flows.
Oh my God.
All the time.
So much. And that's what I was saying, it's not easy. I mean, first of all, it's not easy coming up with the initial investment. In my instance, it took time because I had to wait for that housing market. And nowadays in Charleston, in particular, the housing market is shooting up quickly. But for me, you know, I mean, I bought my first house like, I don't know, 17 years ago, something like that. But so it wasn't increasing as fast, as rapidly as it is now.
Right.
But I don't know where I'm going with this. But I ended up selling like 75% of my holdings. That's what I was going at.
Right.
Is because I just had a feeling that the bear market was coming.
It was like you felt it necessary to do that.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I know for a fact that with stuff like, you know, stocks, bonds, cryptocurrency, all of that stuff, you know, it definitely ebbs and flows. And one thing I've heard from a lot of these coaches and people who are willing to teach, like, to be honest, a lot of people sell courses for like hundreds of dollars and shit that teach you about stuff like this, but you can always find shit for free.
You don't need to pay.
I have this, listen, what he's saying is true. I have this weird theory about anything I want to do in life. And this is and call me stupid, but this is the main reason why I never went to college. This is why my old man, when I graduated, I literally had a month of free time. And he was like, we gotta get you in college. We gotta get you in, you know, the college down here, you know, you got like Charleston Southern University, College of Charleston, then you got Trident Tech. Isn't there like another one?
What you said, CFC, Trident.
And CSU.
CSU, Citadel.
In the Citadel, I was not going to the Citadel. There's no way I was going to be wearing them tight ass pants. There is no way. Anyway, so, you know, didn't you go to the Citadel?
No, I didn't go to the Citadel.
Your dad went to the Citadel.
And his dad.
And his, with the plaques on the wall.
Yeah.
Right. So, what was I saying? Oh yeah. He wanted me to go to college, and I was like, man, number one, I don't know what the fuck I'm going for. And I don't want to be up to my neck in student loan debt. He's like, oh, you can get this, that, and the third to help you out with it. But I was like, yeah, that's only helping out, but I'm still going to be left with this gajillion-dollar bill. And I see people who I grew up with who went to college, dropped out, and now they're struggling with $300, $400, $500, $600 per month student loan debt. And I'm not dealing with that. Rent is listen, in Charleston, rent is already fucked up. So I will be damned if I gotta pay this outrageous rent plus, you know, anyway. So, you know, I just never really knew exactly what I wanted to go for. And to go back to my initial point, I just feel like if you're willing to do a little bit more research, you can find what you need without somebody trying to shove the course plus $100 bill down your throat. If you just do a little bit of research, you take a little bit from this, you take a little bit from that, you put that together, now you got the same thing this person was going to teach you, and it may have cost you a little bit more time, but it didn't cost you any money. You see what I'm saying? That's just how I think.
Yeah, everybody's got an angle.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm not saying you should be skeptical of everything, but obviously you want to take what everybody says with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
You know?
Except for me. I will never steer. Seriously,
except for Jabbar.
I will never steer you wrong. I have never steered anybody in my life wrong, except for a few women that I messed with. But other than that.
Yeah. But as far as how that... I think you should leave that in.
That's also fine.
But as far as how that applies to this discussion,
that's rough.
Get some education. I mean, check out that video or that video series. I know that's not about crypto, but what my strategy as far as investments go, is hook your cart to the coattails of the biggest giant in the room, because they're the ones that move markets.
Right.
And who is the biggest giant in the room? It's the government. It's the U.S. federal government. And they have the power to move markets. And so it's taking all of the different puzzle pieces, taking that information, taking the history of money, and then also looking at this developing technology and putting them all together and say, okay, the U.S. government is killing its own money by printing untold amounts of money. I mean, insane. We have been exporting our inflation for decades, and I can get into the details of that, but it's just the simple fact that what we have a light shining on now is inflation within the country. And so people are starting to wake up to that and say, hey, well, I can put money in the bank and it's going to do nothing for me. And
banks trade your money, by the way.
They do. They do.
If
Your money is not sitting in the bank.
If you ever, he's going to finish that, but let me say this. If you have an app for your bank account, just like everybody else, if you ever go on your app and it says, oh, it's down for maintenance, it's not down for maintenance. They're trading your money and they don't want you to go in there and see that you have a negative balance that you didn't start or a different balance that you're not used to. You see what I'm saying? So don't let them fool you. Because I learned that. Because it's like, think about it. Banks are a multi-gajillion dollar industry as a whole. How the fuck, like, it's just like Facebook. All these social media apps, if they say they're down for maintenance, they're just taking all the information that you gave them, that you agreed to. You know, we don't ever read the terms and conditions. We just scroll to the bottom and hit accept.
So if you go to make a large withdrawal, they're going to say, we're going to get back to you. Can you come back tomorrow? Because I'm serious. I'm dead serious. Because they're going to say, we got to get that together.
Yeah.
Let me call up our main branch and see if we can get that money over here.
Right.
And they're going to take other people's money and they're going to bring it over there for you to take out.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're getting a little off topic, but the point is, the dollar is dying, and I'm not saying it's going to like die tomorrow. We're going to have hyperinflation or anything like that, but it is dying. Anybody who says otherwise is just kidding themselves.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to be dead within 10 years or 100 years, but empires rise and fall
all the time.
And so, look at Great Britain. I mean, they were the global leader, and now it's just this small island that's just
floating, just
kind
there.
of part of the European Union, but not anymore. And so, anyway, I'm just saying, the dollar is the world reserve currency, and all of the other currencies are pegged to our dollar. And so if we're printing trillions of dollars, then we're devaluing other countries' currency.
Right.
Well, it's only a matter of time before those other countries say, is there something else we could use? And I'm going to say it's going to maybe look like a whack job, but it is possible that Bitcoin could become the world reserve currency. It is absolutely possible.
Well, I mean, didn't they just change? Well, I don't think they just did. They did like either last year or a couple months ago. They changed the Staples Center to the Bitcoin.com Center, like where the Lakers and the Clippers play basketball and shit. And I was like, is this shit real? It is real. So things like that, like I said in the beginning of this episode, going outside of the box, people tend to be very plugged in, if you will. Plugged into you've watched The Matrix.
Oh yeah.
Of course. People tend to be very plugged into the Matrix. I'm not gonna get all conspiracy theory on you, but people tend to be very plugged into
I don't believe that. Look at that.
I'm telling you, They which part the
You're not gonna get into conspiracy.
I'm serious. But see, people tend to be very like, plugged in to what they see on the TV, right? This is why I don't own a TV. I don't. I have not. The only reason I'm getting a TV.
You got a TV right here, though.
I was gonna get into that.
Yeah.
The only reason I'm getting an actual flat screen TV is because I want a PlayStation 5.
Yeah, you want a game.
And I'm just gonna play it like maybe once a month.
Mm-hmm.
I do not care about video games.
Yeah.
But I do want to play God of War when it comes out. Santa Monica sponsorship. Anyway, so they tend to just go along to get along. And I've never really been that way. Maybe I'm crazy, but I just always feel like there's a deeper meaning to damn near everything, right? Nobody does anything for no reason. Even this podcast episode,
That's true.
I'm not just doing this for no reason. Of course I would like more views. Of course I would like the subscribers. Of course, and then it's like, what do you get as a result? You get somebody who's well versed in cryptocurrency, or, to their level of cryptocurrency, somebody who doesn't know much, who's willing to learn, much like the majority of people who are going to watch this episode, right? So it's like certain things and changes that go on, I just pay attention to it. And I'm like, okay, you changed this from that, or this person did this, and Elon Musk buys Twitter. It's like, do people not like connect dots and shit like that? Or, you know what I'm saying? That's just me. Maybe I'm crazy, or, people tend to, you calling somebody crazy is dismissive, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So it's like,
I think it's not that they don't connect the dots. It's that they're not even in the dot connecting game.
yeah,
They're not even playing the game. And that's the other thing is, if you want to play the game, you got to get off the sidelines. It's as simple as that.
This is true.
I mean, you got to put something in it, and that skin in the game, and relating to crypto, it's still super early.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people think it's we missed the boat or something, and that is not the case. That is not the case. You ask people, hey, why don't you buy some Bitcoin? And I think you'd be surprised how many people say, I can't afford a $40,000 Bitcoin. Because they don't even know that you could buy a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a Bitcoin. They think you got to buy the whole thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that just shows how early it still is. And one of the great benefits of getting into crypto, in my opinion, is one thing that is quite unprecedented about crypto. Relating to finances is crypto is one of the only sectors that people can get in on before big money gets in on it.
Right.
So average Joes, me, you, anybody,
Not average.
way above average, but any viewer can go out and buy, stack some sats, some satoshis, little bits of Bitcoin is what a Satoshi is, and you can buy just a little fraction of it and get in on it now, before Goldman Sachs buys $1 billion worth of Bitcoin one day. I don't know, and all of a sudden, before you know it, one Bitcoin's $1 million, something like that. I'm just saying it's still really early. There's one graph that I saw that I absolutely love, and it's the adoption curve of crypto. And this particular graph had the adoption curve of crypto overlaid on the adoption curve of the internet, and it mirrors it identically. I mean, perfectly. And here is the adoption curve of the internet, and here is Bitcoin or crypto.
So it's pretty
it's barely moved.
Yeah.
And it's gone from here to here. It's still got from here to here.
Right.
So, I I would highly recommend getting in
Yeah.
on some crypto. And
Right.
what would I recommend? I would just say, get your feet wet by just picking up some Bitcoin. You know, it's the safest bet that there is. Don't go out and spend your life savings on Dogecoin or Shiba Inu or Moon Coin or Tomato Coin or some whatever. That's actually a thing.
I believe you.
But you know, you don't want to get caught up in this whole. I mean, if you got some extra cash, buy the staples.
Disposable income.
The extra, disposable income.
Right.
Yeah, go ahead and get your staples. Get the the Bitcoin and the Ethereum, whatever else you want to get, but play just a little bit of money on like those wild ones if you want to gamble, because that's not investing, that's gambling.
Okay.
In my opinion.
So let me ask you this. So before we end this off, what would you tell, aside from everything you just said, what else would you tell somebody who's like, you know what, I want to get in on this cryptocurrency thing. I want to do this, but I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
First and foremost, education.
Right.
So I would find some good sources of the latest news. Specifically, I find it on YouTube, which is not easy because there's a lot of, I call them moon boys.
Moon boys.
Moon boys, who on YouTube who are like every single week or every other day, Bitcoin's going to $1 billion and it's happening tomorrow. And they use these flashy, thumbnails and all that stuff, and what's their angle? They're looking for clicks.
Right.
So, I would highly recommend. I mentioned the one about the the history of money.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I would definitely recommend Digital Asset News. I learned a lot from that particular channel, Digital Asset News. He's got a free website, Dan, D-A-N, Digital Asset News. So Dan Teaches Crypto is his website, and it's just teaches people how to whatever. I haven't gotten on the website because I was a follower of his channel before he even created the website, and I learned everything that's on the website. But I would definitely recommend going there. That guy,
he's the real deal.
He's the real deal. He's level-headed.
Yes.
He's a long-term investor. I would definitely recommend that. As far as economics go, Heresy Financial, that's a great channel to follow. Kitco News, that's another one. Kitco News can get a little high level. Sometimes might make your head spin a little bit when they get these people on. They're like
very detailed.
Yeah, they start spitting out these acronyms and whatever.
Yeah.
But they're not moon boys.
Moon boys.
So,
okay.
Yeah, I would recommend getting a good source of news, because if you could find that, you could go back to the old videos and learn.
And gotcha.
Why this is this way and that way. For sure. Outside of that, outline your goals. Are you a long-term investor? Are you a short-term investor? There's nothing wrong with being a short-term investor, but you got to know what you're getting into.
Right.
If you're a short-term investor, you better keep meticulous records. I found this out this tax season when I had to write a very large tax check to the state and federal governments. I thought it was like a stock trading app where you could, download, a spreadsheet or whatever, give it to your tax preparer, and they say, here's your capital gains. But the particular exchange that I used, I would not recommend. It's Binance US. Binance is the largest crypto exchange in the world, and I was on there a few years ago when I bought just a tiny little bit, just to kind of test the waters.
Right.
But then the US government said, okay, Binance, you got to have like a US only version. So they made Binance US. Anyway, getting into details.
Yeah.
The point is, if you're gonna day trade and stuff like that, which I honestly don't recommend, then
What is day trade?
Like ride the day in, day out. You know,
Gotcha.
say watch that ticker. You know, but you know
That's kind of that's
you're watching.
Bitcoin lingo right there.
No, it's not. It's
Oh, okay.
actually stock. It's actually stock lingo.
Stock lingo. Gotcha.
But if you're sitting there going, what's the price now? What's the price now? Sell it, buy it, sell it.
Oh, okay.
Day in and day out, you're gonna pay taxes on every single one of those exchanges.
Oh no.
That you do, and so that's why I say you better keep really good records of what exactly you buy, your cost basis, what you sell for. The smartest thing you can do is go to like cryptotrader.tax. That's a software where they have API integration where you can download all of your trades into their software, and you pay a fee, and they boom spit it out for you. Hey, this is what you owe, XYZ. Give this to your tax preparer. Go on to a website like that and find out who they work with, and then sign up with one of those exchanges that they work with.
Gotcha.
That's what I would definitely recommend.
Gotcha.
My tax preparer told me Coinbase is one of the better ones to work with as far as documentation goes. One bad thing about Coinbase is every time we have extreme volatility, their website goes down.
Yeah.
But for me, that's not a problem,
Right.
because I'm more of a long-term investor. I knew going into it, I set a hard date, and I said, okay, I bought the overwhelming majority of my holdings in April, May of 2020.
Right.
And I said, I'm gonna hold for at least a year. Because if you hold for at least a year, then you pay long-term capital gains as opposed to short-term capital gains. And so, anyway, have a plan, map it out.
Plan.
That's really what I recommend.
Okay. Well, you as well as I have learned a lot from this episode. So we're gonna go ahead and, for the time being, we're gonna end it here, right? Because this episode's already like, geez, what time is it? Like 45, 50 minutes long.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Volatility. This is not the stock market.
Right.
And that's what I was trying to get into as far as have a plan. I said that buying and holding, it sounds easy, but actually it can be really difficult. I saw my portfolio, shoot up and then crash down. I was like, oh my God.
You were distraught.
I was Amber hurting the bed.
Amber shitting the bed.
I was. It was rough. It was really rough. But you have to know going into it that that's going to happen, and volatility is your friend.
Right.
Because it can crash down, but it can go back up. So get that education and know that going into it. Dollar cost average in. That's the other thing. I'm sorry, I know this is going too long.
No, you're good.
Dollar cost average in. Take a little bit of money, just a little bit at a time. I went hog wild, and it was kind of crazy.
Yeah.
It really was. But I had that equity that I pulled out.
You already had it.
It was there. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I obviously discussed it with my wife and all that stuff, and so we were on the same page. But dollar cost average in, and just buy a little bit, like just a few bucks, whatever you can spare every single week, and you build up your average. Make a game of it. Try to buy low each week. It dropped a little bit. Let's buy a little bit. And I would definitely recommend going that route. But know that we got a 4-year cycle that's happening on crypto. The halving happens, and then We got 4 years after that where it's like the crypto desert, where it just doesn't move a whole lot. Things could change because everybody knows about it now, but the way it's been in the past is it spikes every 4 years. So it just spiked. So, you know, Bitcoin could drop down to 20K. It definitely could. Be a great time to buy.
Where's it at now?
Well, like 38, something like that, 38,000.
Gotcha.
So, you know, I mean, you just have to know going into it that there could be extreme volatility, and it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. You just have to brace yourself and have those diamond hands.
Pretty much ride the wave.
Ride the wave.
Pretty much ride the wave. But with the information that you gain, you know, pacing yourself, like my dad, you know, what he does is every time he goes to like a store or something to buy something, he'll like put a little bit of money into like their stock or buy some of their stock, stuff like that. Just something. He talks about it all the time. He's like, yeah, man, just went to Walmart, spent like $50. I bought like $30 of Walmart stock right there. Because the average person, like when you're a kid, you don't care about money and shit. But it's like you don't think you're spending that much money. But like you go to Walmart, like I don't know about you, but every time I go to Walmart, I spend like at least $80.
Yeah.
At least, and I'm like, the fuck did I buy? And so, you know, most people would spend anywhere between 80 to like 100 or maybe 120. So to close that gap, he would be like, okay, I spent $80 here. Let me spend $40 on this stock. Every single time. So it's like every day, well not every day, but every time he goes, he's like eating away at buying something that's going to make him more money in the future. You see what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. No, I love it. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, my mom and I, after work, we went to Pizza Hut and picked up a pizza, which is a big deal. And they had a promo going. Where you got a large pizza, you got a free basketball. And I turned to my mom. Yeah. This is like a long time. I was a kid, and I said, Mom, you might want to buy some Pizza Hut stock because this is a really good deal. Everybody's gonna be buying pizza from Pizza Hut. And she was like, what's wrong with you, little kid?
What do you even know about that?
He's like, enjoy your basketball.
Yeah, what do you even know? So, very, very informative episode. Very, you know, how do I say? You know, I learned a lot of stuff. I'm pretty sure you learned a lot of stuff. And this isn't going to be the last time. There's just, you know, one of many. And every time we come back to topics like this, the what's the word I'm looking for? The density is going to be something. It's going to be more special, if that makes sense. It's going to be a lot more special because you'll be able to cover a lot of things that we couldn't cover in this episode, in the next episode, and then the episode after that, and then the episode after that, and blah, blah, blah. If you would come back, though.
Hey, we need to talk about real estate sometime.
Yes.
I'm telling you, it is powerful.
He's going to teach you a lot of shit.
Powerful.
He's going to teach you a lot
about
cryptocurrency, real estate, and just overall how to make, save, and make your money grow for you.
Self-improvement.
Which is pretty much what this podcast is all about.
Yeah.
So with that being said, man, I hope y'all enjoyed this episode. Make sure to like, share, comment, subscribe. Everybody stay cool, stay groovy, and above all else, handle that. And I'm just cut all that shit out. Well, I'm not gonna cut that out, but you know, after the deep, I'm just cut that shit out. I'm about to go slap. I'm not gonna do that shit. So that was fun.